All right, from Regina there, let's now take a look at some of the stories that's been making headlines on our local dailies. And with me, I have the Star newspaper here. And on the front page of the Star, Raila dilemma over choice of running mate. Raila dilemma of choice of running mate. Allies are keen that he picks a deputy from the Mount Kenya region. Now, ODM leader must factor in candidates' clout and support base. That is what's making on the front page of the Star here. And still on that, mother of slain Kitengela brothers arrive from the UK. From the UK, excuse me. Remember the two brothers who are killed in Kitengela for allegedly being mistaken for being cattle rustlers or thieves for that matter, arrived on Saturday from the UK, where she went to look for greener pastures. That is also on the front page of the Star. Now, city couple seeking help to raise 6 million shillings for the hospital bill. Now, Brian Maua's wife, Winnie, became pregnant at the start of the year. The great news was even sweeter when the parents of the two discovered that they were expecting twins, but the joy and expectation turned into disappointment after their hospital bill shot up to 6 million shillings. You can take a look on that story. And still on that, and politics, Kitui, that is Muhisa Kitui, says that I have solutions to Kenya's graft problem. Okay. Should he be elected come 2022? Still on, let's talk about some matters health now. Kenyans to wait longer for Pfizer vaccine from the US. Kenyans may have to wait longer for the 1.7 million doses of Pfizer vaccine expected from the US government. Now, it has been revealed that the earliest the doses can arrive in the country is in September. The US government had earlier said that the distribution would start this August. So there is that, but information from the health ministry shows that 15 ultra cold chain freezers from the US are expected to arrive in the country earliest next week. The freezers come before the vaccine. So that is something to look out for. And that's also, you can also, perhaps we can just delve into this one. Jane and Regina, most Kenyans, over the past week or so, we've seen an upsurge of people taking this particular vaccine. Perhaps, Regina, you go to the field quite a lot. What would be your contribution to that?
Well, if I can answer that question in two parts.
Yes.
There is also antipathy, especially among the youth, and the reasons that they have cited that they are skeptic about taking this particular jab. And I'd want to read one who has been quoted in one of the dailies, who is asking, the youth are not, or rather saying, the youth are not avoiding the jab. Just how will I take the jab, yet my grandmother in the village has not been vaccinated? This is according to John Cargo W. So they're asking the questions, they're looking at who deserves it more. Is it I who is young and healthy, or is it my grandmother or my grandfather or even my parent who is already, you know, in the red zone as far as the demographic is concerned? So there is that issue. Then there was what we highlighted last week, is that because of the hard economic times, a majority cannot get to where these centers are offering this particular jab. And there's also the issue of misinformation or lack of information. So when you go to this particular facility, is the jab free? Or do you have to cough some money? Then there's also people who are taking advantage of this exercise by selling their slots. For instance, let's give an example. There's a vaccination exercise underway at Mbagathi Hospital. One will wake up at around 3 a.m., 4 a.m. to be on the queue when the doors open at 8, 9 a.m. and there's that desperate person who really needs that particular jab, and they sell that slot. Like, madam or sir, unataka nikupe nafasi yangu. That's how they're making their money. You know, you pay, you cough 1,000 or 100 or 1,000 shillings, and you get that slot because one way or another you did not make it in time, but there was someone who's purposed to find out where this vaccination exercise is taking place and queue and sell their slots. So there's so many issues. But what I would want to point out is that, first of all, there's lack of information in regard, is this going to be free in this facility? Where can I get it? Am I entitled to it? Or are they prioritizing those who have already been termed as frontline workers? Is it open for all? So that misinformation and lack of information is also working against this particular campaign. So I think the government needs to intensify its campaign and sensitization. Sensitization that these jobs are available. Yes, in these hospitals, they are free. This is what you need to know. This is what you do. This is what you're required to do, so that everybody can be on the same page. Yes,
absolutely. Now, let me tie a particular piece here on the Daily Nation to that particular story, because it looks at the fact that in Western Kenya, myths, disinformation, traditional and religious beliefs have hindered this vaccination process. Now, ignorance is among the leading causes of the refusal for many people to get vaccinated. Other areas they have cited access to some of these facilities being the problem, with a county like Mandera actually having been used an example. Residents in Mandera have to travel for 2 days just to go to the hospital to get this vaccine, and that is one way. So 2 days to go, 2 days to come back. They have also gone ahead to cite traditional and religious beliefs to be another reason that is derailing the uptake of COVID-19 in some of these counties. And when it comes to religious beliefs, there's some, as per this particular article, they have highlighted some top leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist and Legio Maria. They have not declared their stand on the vaccine, therefore leaving their congregants with a lot of suspicion about this vaccine. But a section of SDA faithfuls believe that this particular jab is a manifestation of the end times. Okay? And there's also adherents of the Legio Maria Church who are strictly opposed to the vaccination based on their faith that all ailments are curable through faith and prayer. Now, those are just some of the reasons that have been highlighted here. And then again, the Ministry of Health did put out a report last week that indicated some counties in the northern region have only vaccinated 0.3% of their population. And as of yesterday, only 2 in every Kenyans have been fully vaccinated, and there's still that 1 million, about 2 million who have received the first dose, but only 721,000 have turned up for the second dose, and most of these people are in Nairobi. And still looking at that population, men are leading with 55%.
I think it's given because men tend to get out there and get exposed more often and more, mostly more than they were female or more than women. So that's why it's given. The whole factor is people should go for the vaccination. There is no way about it. Science and other, traditions and culture can be debated, but the fact is the vaccine is there and is for free. So I think people should just go and get vaccinated. There's a lot of hullabaloo about it, but guys, it won't help. It won't help. All right. So what do you have, Jen?
Let me just run you through the front page of the Daily Nation before we get to some of these details. The two stories here on the header. Number one, Ruto tears into Uhuru's 2022 succession plan, game plan for that matter. And this particular piece here has actually captioned it, Ruto to Kenyatta, bring it on. I will be giving you those details in a bit. But then the other story that has been featured here on the header of the Daily Nation is in regards to what is happening in Afghanistan, with the Afghan president having fled the country as the Taliban take over the capital. We'll be getting those details in a bit. And then again, a story that has had so many people express so many thoughts and feelings. The end to a whirlwind romance. First couple breaks up. That is the story of Machakos Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua and his wife Lilian Nganga, who announced the end of their relationship on their various social media platforms yesterday. Coming to the main read here is in regards to the puzzle of cheap fuel in Nakuru. And let me just take you through this particular piece. It has been covered here on page 7. Now, what many people are concerned about when it comes to this story is the fact that looking at the fuel pricing formula, it is expected to get more expensive the farther you move away from Mombasa County.
And why did it get cheaper in Nakuru?
But that's the question. It is cheaper in not only Nakuru, let me just, in Nakuru, Naivasha, Gilgil, Nyahururu, and Londiani than it is in Nairobi.
That
and mind
Nakuru
you,
County.
looking at Nakuru, it is 170 kilometers from Nairobi. So getting to the details is that in Nakuru, fuel is going for, let me get this figure. Let's start with Nairobi. This month, after the review, the petrol will be going for 127 shillings and 14 cents per litre.
That is in Nairobi?
Yes. Right. Diesel is going for 107 shillings and 66 cents, while kerosene is going for 97 shillings and 85 cents. In Nakuru, petrol is going for 126 shillings and 75 cents. Diesel is going for 107 shillings and 55 cents, while kerosene is going for 97 shillings and 76 cents per litre. Mombasa, of course, remains to be the residents who enjoy the cheapest fuel costs, with petrol retailing at 124, diesel at 105, and kerosene at 95 shillings and 46 cents. Now, experts have come out to criticize and they want an explanation to this. How come Nakuru has cheaper fuel than Nairobi? And mostly counties that are to the west of Nairobi, which is farther away from Mombasa. And that is why so many people have had so much to say about this. And of course, you know, that difference in less than a shilling, but it counts for a lot.
It matters a lot.
It counts for a lot.
I think EPRA could be in a very good position to explain that, why the disparity in terms of the pricing. Because Nakuru County does not produce oil. All our oil products come from Mombasa. Probably Regina could chip in on that, where you're giving us the headlines, what's making on the headlines, perhaps just to rope in on that, Regina?
Well, remember, let me just give it holistically, Victor, here. When it comes to the 14th of every month, if we look at the trends between January to date, the cost of fuel has been going up on an upward trajectory. And this is not just for Kenya's case. Remember, we use what we refer to as Mobane. And Mobane is, brought into the country months prior, actually 3 months over the seas, over the high seas. So that's also another factor that we need to put in when we talk about the cost of fuel. That question about why it is cheaper to buy, or rather, yes, to buy fuel in Nakuru other than Nairobi and Mombasa, that's a question that I think EPRA needs to, put out there in detail, because I don't know why, because it's supposed to be cheapest in Mombasa to purchase this particular commodity, and most expensive in far-flung areas like Mandera and Garissa because of the transportation aspect. Cost. But also look at Nakuru and where it is situated. Remember, as Nakuru County, it's like a transit county. Everything goes through Nakuru, Uganda and such. And remember, also in our neighboring country, which is Uganda, fuel is still very cheap in Uganda. So this is a question I think EPRA needs to answer in detail. But we've been watching what is happening with the OPEC Plus, and they're saying they want to increase production because with the issue of the global vaccination, it means that now travel has gone back to where it was supposed to go, but slowly. So they want to increase production. So that anomaly and correlation I'm yet to get, Victor. So once we get the details, we'll be sure sharing.
Okay. Take us on a break then? Okay, let's take a break. That you give it back to me. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
What does this number mean to you? just a number. To us, it means freshness, boldness, vibrancy, and heritage. That's why at KBC Channel 1, we make it easier for you to pop up your family entertainment to a fresh, exciting, and colorful bouquet.
Quiero amarte de una forma diferente, de otro modo.
Your daddy died, sweetie.
No, my daddy's not dead, Mommy. Please tell me he isn't dead.
Sweetheart, believe me, I wish it wasn't true. I wish it weren't, but...
Don't exert too much effort.
Manuel.
Just relax, sir, please.
Manuel.
I'm going to call him. But you have to stay calm, sir.
Manuel.
You're still quite weak, Mr.
Yes, Manuel.
Oh, may the heavens help me. Please help me find proof of Max's innocence. I'm begging you. Because I love him so much.
I have to find Florencia. No one was around when I killed Horacio, but I can't risk being uncovered and going to prison.
Una forma diferente, de otro modo, nunca igual al de otra gente, respetando tus espacios.
Timbi na Timbelio.
Mambo vipi watu wangu? Mama, karibu sana, karibu tena. Kachiri kijulikana kama Bildadi kama kawaida. Okay. G-Cliff inamaanisha music kabisa. Au sio? Recent Romeo. Wewe ndio mshikaji pale peke yako ama kuna baadhi ya wasanii wengine ndugu yangu?
Mimi nafanya kazi hapo kama msanii pekee.
Pamoja tunafikisha nambari.
Inomba usiwe mkali sana ukiziwi waro. Mama usiwe mkali sana itikero inakuita. Hello, hello, yeah.
Welcome back. We are glad you are still with us. In case you are just joining us, this is Good Morning Kenya. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. At KBC Channel 1 is our official station handle. Our individual handles are at Victor Oloo, at Regina Manyara, and at Jain Wambui. Do interact with us. Let us know where you are watching us from. Now, let's get to this particular story concerning Machakos Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua and his now estranged wife. But according to this particular daily, Machakos' first couple parts ways but promises to stay close. Now, Machakos Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua and his wife Lillian Nganga have announced the end of their marriage, bringing to a close a relationship that saw the county boss divorce his first wife, Josephine Thitu. Now, they go ahead to give a brief background of how they got together, but as of yesterday, Miss Nganga did put out the announcement on her social media pages stating the end of her marriage to Dr. Alfred Mutua, and they've briefly captioned what she had to say, saying, "The winds of change blew my way, and 2 months ago, I decided to end my long-term relationship with Dr. Alfred Mutua." Later on, we did see Dr. Alfred Mutua also put out a statement just to corroborate what Lillian had to say, saying that I thank God for bringing Lillian into my life and the many ways we have made each other grow. We have laughed and at times a tear or two, but all in all, we have been a power couple and very happy. So many people have had so much to say about this particular story, being concerned as to how they were involved in so many county projects together. together. Then there was the Lilian Nganga Foundation, which did amazing projects for so many ladies in Machakos County. And people are wondering how they will be working moving forward. But Dr. Mutua was very particular in stating that they are still friends and they will be working together, in as much as Lilian did officially declare that she is no longer the First Lady of Machakos County, when she said, "With this, I put down the Machakos First Lady cap, and what an honor it has been to be of service."
Yeah. I think it was quite important because being the First Lady of that particular county, it was proper to just put it out there so that the relationship is known, because you are the First Lady of a particular county and you are a public figure for that matter. And at what particular point, you know, in many occasions, I am so sure Lilian represented Governor Mutua in occasions, you know, some functions. So it's quite in order to put it out there because they are public figures and therefore there's nothing to be kept secret. And I think it was quite mature to just let the nation to know the status of the relationship. So I think that's the best way that it was resolved.
Because there was a lot of speculation on social media, given they haven't been seen in public together or posting pictures of each other for that matter. So I think this was also, I agree with you, considering the positions they hold.
If I can butt in, I think they were trying to get ahead of the bloggers. This was a PR move that if you're breaking the news, let it be from you so that you can control the narrative. And I think for a person who's been in the PR industry, and that is Governor Alfred Mutua, hapo alicheza kama yeye. You know, you'd rather be the one controlling the narrative. And you two people are speaking from the same page. You can imagine if Lilian now came out and said something totally different and Alfred was saying something else. We would have a field day on social media as well, and his mainstream media. Remember, he's already declared his intent to run for the office, the highest office come 2022. And there's been a lot of talk. So then what happens to his political ambitions there? Remember, in as much as Wanjiku, or rather the voter, looks, you know, enlightened and such, they are unspoken profiles that we require from our leaders. And one of them is that, and this was actually said on social media, how true it is, well, we can all look at the people who've held this office. One of it is that you have to have a stable family and a pot belly. Yes, that's what. So what happened?
The pot belly. Yes. I'm not too sure about.
No. We said looking at our leaders. Pale mashinani, you're
the trend.
Tuonyeshe, yes, the trend. Tuonyeshe bibi na watoto. Na kama umekula vizuri, you know.
If you can take care of yourself and your family.
Those connotations, definitely they're stereotypes and such. But yeah, someone was just trying to bring in the humor then. So what happens to his presidential bid in regard to this matter? Is it going to be dented? And I think that's why they also came out to say that they're going to continue working together as friends, because as you rightfully put, we have seen what the Lilian Foundation has been doing over the years, and that is something. So much is happening on social media. So if you haven't gotten wind of this story, kindly get online, especially on Twitter. There's a suspect around there. There's a lot of speculation, but as a national broadcaster, we're not there to give you, you know, the speculation. But the fact
Regina,
is, the two have split.
One good lesson that you can learn from that. The way the whole situation was handled. But one thing, again, Kenyans should know is to respect each other's space.
True.
There is no way, people can never, you can never get into Governor Mutua's life, can never get into Lilian's life. People should just mind their own business. We have got several issues as a nation that we should be dealing with.
You know, Vic, be that as it may, as long as you're a public figure, privacy becomes questionable. And people will always have something to say, or rather feel entitled to an opinion in whatever you engage in, personal or public. People don't really know where to put that line, that boundary of this is personal, I want to deal with this on a very personal level because of this and this and this reason. But by virtue of being in a certain office or holding a certain capacity, it is not always possible to just deal with some of these issues privately, because it was the same thing with Bill and Melinda.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. They also put it out there publicly.
They put it out there because in as much as it is very personal for them, they owe it to the people who look up to them or who have been engaged with them in one space or the other to make sure that they know, in as much as we are not together, we still can work together.
My point is, people should not ridicule. You know, in my mother tongue, we say it's when there is a funeral at the neighbors, it's sweeter there. Wait until it gets home. That's when you know where it pinches. You realize how much it pinches. So people should, you know, you can go ahead and ridicule this and that, wait until it gets closer home, because there is nothing new under the sun.
True. I agree. I agree with you, Victor. And also, I think they have also set a very good precedent. Because if you look at over the years, stories that have been made headlines, especially of people who are in that particular public domain and high ranking. We've had the mythical Inturi debacle there with the divorce and the horrid, gory details that came out in the court. But these two have decided to part ways amicably at a time when we're seeing gender-based violence in regard to that matter. Taking away people's lives and destroying even the children and the families. But they have made it so, I hope a majority of us can learn something, that you can part ways amicably.
And it doesn't always have to be a smearing campaign after
No, don't bring me down. Don't bring me down, because I'll not bring you down. At the end of the day, that was the best decision we could make at that time. And it has come that we need to part ways. Let us part ways with dignity, you know, and respect. And I applaud them for that.
All right. Back to you, Regina.
Great. Oh, yes. Now, talking about for a moment. Now, I have a copy of the Standard with me, and it's just a replica of what you have on the other end. Jain and Victor, matters of politics, what is happening, what is shaping up. And the headline here goes, "Eye on hardliners." And the kicker goes, "Uhuru succession." Now, they are crucial players in any political negotiations, but at times come out as extremists and selfish individuals out to market their leaders while upping their own political stake. Let me just give you a nutshell of who have been captured on the front page of the Standard this morning in regard to political hardliners who are not only pushing their master's agenda, but they're also raising their stakes as political, bigwigs. Now we have Junet Mohammed, who is currently the Suna East MP. We have Susan Keheka, Nakuru Senator. We have Mutula Kilonzo Jr., that is Makueni Senator. We have Enoch Wambui, Kitui Senator. We have Samson Cheragay, Nandi Senator. We have Gladys Wanga, who is Homa Bay Woman Rep. Alice Wahome of Kandara. Cleophas Malala, Kakamega Senator. Edwin Sifuna, ODM Secretary General. And Ayub Savula, ANC Deputy Party Leader. At one point or another, over the last few months, if not years, we've heard from these particular people who've been mentioned in this front page, pushing the agenda of their masters. But at the end of the day, they have come out to be, seen as political bigwigs, where in as much as they are pushing the agenda of their masters there, now they are forces to reckon with. And as we're seeing alliances forming and others breaking up, you are kindly watch these people keenly, what moves they make, to whom and to what end. As we say, whoever is getting into a bandwagon with someone else, they are in there for something. And we might just see what it really means in the run-up to the elections come 2022. That's what I have on the front page of the Standard this morning, including matters that are making headlines across the world. Now we have an earthquake that hit again Haiti there, leaving 301 persons dead. And I say Africa is actually blessed because we have been cushioned from these climatic calamities there. So 301 persons dead after that particular quake. If you can allow me, Jane, And Victor, to just now shift from matters politics and what has been making headlines, now let's talk about health and science. And this is an article that has been fully documented here in this particular daily and has touched a chord. When ancestors cause untraceable illnesses. At one point or another, we have had cases that they went to hospital, the medics tried to do a diagnosis, there was none, but this person was gravely ill, and unfortunately, at times, the persons in question succumb. Now, this particular issue here has brought together experts, medics, doctors, as well as researchers, and it reveals that sometimes doctors find themselves helpless when medical conditions are related to skipping cultural rites, ignoring traditions. This is Africa, and Africa is our business. Let me borrow that from the political scene there, where we had this is Africa, and Africa is our business. But now we're talking about health and science. Our medics have come out to say at times their hands are tied, so to speak, because what they learned in medical school is not what they're dealing with when it comes to the doctor's consultation room. Why? Because this particular sickness may have been caused by skipping some cultural rites. And areas, Victor, these are your areas. Areas that have been notorious with this. We have Siaya County, we have Homa Bay, you know, the Western Nyanza region comes at the top in regard to this particular issue. Remember, we have been talking about wife inheritance there. There's also missing a burial if you're a son. And there's a particular case here of Martin Otieno that I want to just read in brief. So Mark Otieno was, or rather is, a bank employee. He was in unbearable pain, but the doctor found nothing wrong with him after running tests for malaria, typhoid fever, flu, pneumonia, H. pylori, diabetes, HIV. His blood pressure was also normal, and so were his sugar levels. So Otieno was given painkillers and asked to exercise. The doctor concluded the pains were from work-related fatigue, but the pain persisted. Then that's when he decided, you know what? Let me seek the help of a herbalist. And it was then that he learned that his sickness may have been caused by skipping some cultural rites after his father's burial. So instead of staying at home, back at home, the rural home in Chianda, I don't know if I pronounced it.
Chianda, that is in Siaya County.
Yes, Siaya County. Otieno returned home and flew to Dubai. The pain disappeared after fulfilling the Luo burial customs he had ignored. Can we say Ichieni? Are you crazy?
That's it's called Chira.
Now,
It's called Chira, right?
Now that is Chira. Now medics have come out and say, you know, at times we want to assist, but we can't. Matters of tradition and culture. Victor, you're better placed to help us understand this.
It's called Chira. You know, in Luo community, there are certain things that a man or a family shouldn't do. For example, if like in Otieno's case, the dad passed on, there are certain things that he was not obligated to do. You know, in the past, people would be shaved in a certain way.
To honor the dead.
Exactly.
Okay.
Initially, people are not allowed to engage in any, you know, adult actions after the burial. You know what I'm talking about. And so many things. But perhaps it was a way, you know, certain things were put by our forefathers, and they were meant to remain as such. Because you cannot go back and start negotiating with our forefathers. It's how it used to be. So it was proper for Otieno to come back and get cleansed, you know, get cleansed and just follow the tradition, because wanasema mwachamila ni mtumwa. It will follow you at some point. It will follow you.
In the 21st century, Victor,
it doesn't
and
matter.
when I'm reading this report,
it doesn't matter, Regina.
Roger.
Yes.
I know it doesn't matter, but it should matter at some point, especially when these traditions that we are, you know, forcing out and that people dictating that people need to adhere to are going to cause us, irreversible health consequences. One is the issue of wife inheritance. Now, according to this article, this is according to Jagongo Obura, director at the Technical University of Kenya. Wife inheritance may seem outdated, yet for ages inherited widows were cleansed through chola, placing a man's seeds in the womb to prevent her offspring from conditions like stunting in children, insomnia, sexual dreams, chronic fatigue, severe depression, and such. Now, those widows who refuse to be inherited experience abnormalities such as coldness of the body, hair loss, trembling, got huge pimples, swelling of the private parts, and growing a chin. A wife inheritance has since been deemed repugnant in the face of conditions like HIV/AIDS. But he goes on to say, it is even more shameful for a grandmother aged 70 and no longer sexually active to undergo such rituals in the name of superstition.
You see, certain things can be ruled because of, we are in a different century, yes, but there are certain things, even across the country, we have got different tribes. There are certain cultures that you can never run away from.
Let me also go with Anne Nekesa, a fashion designer in Nairobi who considered herself a modern graduate and skirted certain Luhya customary birthrights, including not seeing the sun for 4 days after the birth of her son. What followed were a series of miscarriages which even the doctors could not help. She says, recalling that it was only after a traditional ritualist conducted rites reversing her miscarriages that Nekesa is now a happy mother of 4.
This gets scary when medics tell you that this is beyond us. If a medic actually tells you you need to go back home, go back to your roots to find out if there's a problem, because we can't scientifically find a problem, that should scare you. That scares me.
I know. That's
straight up.
We wonder,
scares me.
Okay, we talk about Christianity and culture and being in the 21st century. Mwacha mila ndio ni mtumwa, lakini of what benefit are some of these traditions? Regina, what value do they add to me and my generation to come?
Regina, there are certain things we can't debate about. We are in the 21st century, yes, but sometimes it's even beyond us. It's even beyond where we are as a nation, as a community. It's about talking to the elders and going back. Personally, I consult my elders a lot, because, at my age, there is so much that the elders know. You have to consult them because, for example, Otieno just decided, I'm in the 21st century, for example, the way I was saying, and this is me. I'm flying back to Dubai. I'm taking my flight. So, unaacha vitu zake in Chianda and only to realize that, hey, you have to go back to Chianda and talk to the wazee, then go back.
But Vic, my question would be, should we just blindly take the whole blanket and cover ourselves, whether progressive or retrogressive, or with the information that we have, and especially medically speaking, learn to pick and choose what honestly will not put you at harm, or the consequences will not outweigh the prospects? Because before you even answer that, Ray and Vic, there's a piece here that talks of how when it comes to curbing tribalism, teenagers must stop speaking the mother tongue. And when you think of that in an African space, first of all, that is considered un-African. Most of the teenagers, even today, they can barely speak their mother tongue. Most of them don't even know their Ushago. And there's that generational disconnect between our parents and the teenagers of this time. And experts are coming out to say that to end tribalism, people, and especially the teenagers, should stop speaking their mother tongue.
Because I don't think that's the solution.
No, that's one of the hard suggestions that are being put forward by experts, because looking at even our political trajectory over the years, tribes have always had something to say. But in this day and time, teenagers interact and do business and do whatever they want to do without considering the other person's surname.
Yeah.
I would look at it this way.
This is one thing that is considered very un-African.
I would not. Let's just drop. They've already brought in the issue of tribalism. We are now headed towards a general election. We've already started seeing alliances forming and others breaking.
Ethnic, for that matter.
Yeah.
In this country, every 5 years, that's when we are reminded, I'm Meru, I come from the mountain. Now I understand the mountain is split. I've never had that. I have never experienced that. I come from the mountain. It is after every 5 years that we are reminded, you come from the mountain, you come from Luo Nyanza, you come from the Rift Valley. And who are reminding us? Not because of the language that you speak, not because of the dialect that you speak, but because our leaders have picked our tribes as something to ensure that they remain, the status quo remains.
I think tribalism is the head.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, we use our tribes, not because of the language you speak, but because leaders have found that when you're reminded, we Modoa Nyoba, you will vote like that. Or you will come from Nyanza.
So do you think
it's not about the language for me? That doesn't augur well, because I might speak my Meru today, but you are seated across the studio, you're Kikuyu. Victor is from Nyanza. That doesn't stop us from having a cordial working relationship. I need to know my language, because at the end of the day, I am African, and I need to pass it down onto my children, not to use it as a weapon going forward.
Jen was saying that it's considered an African.
To not know your mother tongue.
Okay.
By Africans. Because many a times you even find when a teen is trying to speak their mother tongue and they mispronounce some words,
people
we make humor out of that. You laugh at them. And for them, it's not a big deal. But for our parents, our generation, knowing your mother tongue is part of who you are. Knowing where you come from, your shago, is part of who you are. But with this generation, and considering even the fact that the world is becoming a global village, and tribalism is a reality that we need to accept.
Jen, are you proud of your local dialect?
Absolutely. You know, when I tell people where my father comes from, they're always like, how?
What about you, Regina?
Ulitoka uko aje?
Anytime you want to koroga Meru pretty well, are you proud of that?
I wouldn't trade it for anything, because that is who I am. Those are my roots. That is me. But it doesn't mean because I speak a certain dialect that I should look down upon a Maasai or a Luo or a Luya simply because of where they come from. We need to move away from that, because this language that you're speaking is alien. English is alien. We had a language, we had a way to communicate before we got to where we are today. But that doesn't necessarily mean because we are becoming a global village, we forget our roots.
Do you know, Regina, do you know the reason why the Tower of Babel collapsed?
Because we had too many people speaking a language they could not
different
understand.
languages. Oh, later you Ilbaro, we unakuja na spade. Well, later brick, another person was coming with, I don't know, Kabiro. Well, later cement, Jane was coming with, I don't know what. Waru. Mimi ndio, and all that. So the issue of tribe, God knew. It all started way back in the years. So, all right. Okay, so ladies, before we wrap this up, let's just cross borders briefly and talk about the Zambian election. And report has it that Zambian opposition leader, that is called the United Party of National Development, UPND presidential candidate, Hakainde Hichilema, has defeated incumbent Edgar Lungu in Zambia's presidential election. That's according to the Electoral Commission, which said that the final result from 156 constituencies bearing one. Now, in the final tally, Hichilema secured 2,810,777 votes, while Edgar Lungu was in second place with 1,814,201 votes out of 7 million registered voters. So according to the Electoral Commission of Zambia, Esau Chulu, he said that the opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema has won that seat. So the massive win meant that Hichilema does not have to contest any second round of runoffs after meeting the constitutional threshold of 50% plus one for an outright winner. They also have that rule of 50% plus one to declare a winner. I think it's important to highlight what's happening across the borders. All right, it's season for elections, and even ours now, we are in that mood as well.
Now, talking about elections, before we cross over, the Taliban is in Kabul. The Taliban have entered Kabul as American diplomats evacuate by chopper.
Now, Jain, to take us on a break.
We got so much more coming up in a bit, so do keep us company. Continue staying with us. We still are using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. We will be right back. Stay with us.